This week we're taking a look at Forges of Ravenshire. What's up, Brew Crew? Welcome back to Beer City Board Games. Today, I'm reviewing Forges of Ravenshire, a 1 to 4 player dice worker placement and contract fulfillment game designed by Sam Stockton and published by BA Games, who provided me with this review copy. Let's head down to the table and I'll give you a brief high-level overview of the gameplay, and then we'll come back up for my final thoughts. In Forges of Ravenshire, we are animal blacksmiths for some reason, competing to earn the most money and become the new forge master. Play lasts over 4 rounds, and each round has 3 phases: a gathering phase, a production phase, and an end of season phase, which is basically just an upkeep phase to prepare for the next round. In the gathering phase, each player will have 3 dice that they rolled at the beginning of the round. And then in turn order, each player will choose one of their dice and place it on an empty space on the main board. The number of the die will determine the strength of the action that you take. Most spaces will give you some type of resource, which you will keep track of by adjusting the cubes on your player mat. And one of the spaces will also let you add guild member tiles to your player board. Once you've placed the die and taken that action, you will choose one of the dice that was already on the board and take that. And again, take the resources of the space based on the number of the die that you took. Then, depending on the color of the die that you took, you'll place it in the corresponding guild and activate all of the actions in that color's column. Everyone starts with 1 action for each column, but as the game goes on and you get more guild member tiles, you'll be able to trigger more and more actions. Once all players have placed and retrieved their 3 dice, then we move on to the production phase. Here you'll use the 3 dice that you took during the gathering phase and move them to one of these gray production spaces on your player board and take that corresponding action. This first space will let you run one of your guilds again. So in this situation, the color doesn't matter, so you can use any dice to run any one of your guilds. This space here gets you 2 action tokens, which I'll explain a little bit later. This space will let you gain more resources, and this final space will let you either get 2 more action tokens, gain reputation, or get some money. There's also the charcoal kiln, and that will let you convert wood into charcoal, and the steel foundry, which will let you convert charcoal and ore into steel. Now, these 2 spots will give you some additional bonuses depending on the number of the die that you placed there. During the production phase is also when you will complete contract cards. You'll be collecting these contracts throughout the game, and then during the production phase you can spend the required resources to complete them for money and reputation. You'll also be able to spend extra resources to add a finish to your crafted items for additional benefits. Adding a mithril finish will increase the reputation that you receive from that item, and an ember gem finish will increase the amount of money you make from the item. There's also a normal finish, which doesn't really do anything. It's just a place where you can place your card if you just spend the resources shown on the card for no added benefit. Now, throughout the game, you'll be gaining these action tokens, and these can be used in several different ways. They can be spent on your turn to purchase a guild member tile. You can use them to take a contract or to upgrade a space on your player board. Also, at the beginning of the game, you can choose to play with the assistant cards. Each of these cards will give you a unique and pretty powerful ability that you can use during the game. At the end of the 4th round, players will earn gold for their position on the reputation track, 1 gold for every leftover action token, and you can also use the market to convert goods into gold. Each player counts up their gold, and whoever has the most is the winner. Now again, this was a high-level overview of the game. I didn't cover everything, but I do intend to do a full how to play video for this, and I will link that in the video's description once it's been uploaded. In the meantime, let's head back up for my review. All right, as usual, I'll start off by talking about the components. Now we have the base game without any of the upgraded components, so what you're seeing here is what you'll be getting if you purchase the retail version of the game. All of the tokens and tiles are good quality, nice thick cardboard, and punch easily. The dice are very cool looking, especially the Badger and Raven dice, and you all know that I am a sucker for games with dual layered player boards, and that's very much appreciated in a game like this, where you are tracking your resources with cubes. The storage for this game is very nice as well. Everything fits nice and snug back in the box, and the covered token trays make setup and teardown pretty easy. There's very little wasted space, but still more room for cards or tiles if they decide to put out an expansion. The only thing I think there wouldn't be room for would be any more player boards. Although your character abilities come from the assistant cards anyway, so that's maybe not a huge issue. The graphic design and symbols used on the boards and cards are easy to understand, and they don't take too long to get the hang of. Of course, the art is cute with lots of little anthropomorphic animals all over the board because it can't really be considered a board game if it doesn't have cute animals. Okay, so now let's talk about the gameplay. This game is great. Dice worker placement is one of my favorite mechanisms in board gaming, and this game combines that with the place a worker, take a worker mechanism seen in games like Raiders of the North Sea. And that change from worker meeples to multicolored dice adds so much depth to the game. The numbers on the dice that you place and retrieve will be important for resource gathering from the main board and for the production phase, but the color will be important for placing a retrieved worker in one of your guild halls to trigger potentially a lot more actions that you can take. So there's this whole chain reaction of effects that happen when you select a die, which is very cool and can lead to some amazing combos. In one game, I was able to chain a bunch of combos in our final production phase to complete multiple contracts, shoot up the reputation track, and make a ton of money, which ended up winning me the game. And that felt really good. And that's another observation that we made while playing this game. Everything that you're doing feels good. Odds are every turn you're going to be getting a bunch of resources, or adding tiles to your guild to make them stronger, or playing an action token to do something cool. It's possible to have suboptimal turns, but even those don't feel punishing or make you feel like you're completely out of the running. The important thing is to be efficient with your actions, because you only have 3 turns per round and only 4 rounds in the entire game. And at first I thought that the game would feel too short with so few turns, but the game has a really great sense of escalation as you build up your guilds and start making more and more combo chains. I would often find myself wishing that I had just one more turn, which to me is a sign that a game is lasting just as long as it needs to. You need to be efficient and get the job done, and the game ends before it outstays its welcome. I would recommend following the rulebook's suggestion of going through the production phase in turn order for the first round or maybe 2, just to make sure that you have the hang of it. But once you've played it a few times, you can easily start doing the production phase simultaneously, and that will keep the game moving at a pretty good clip. Another reason I would consider this a feel-good game is that you rarely get completely blocked out from doing a thing that you want to do. Usually the action that you want to take will be available to you, although it's possible that it just may not give you all of the resources that you had hoped for, or it might force you to think a little more creatively to figure out how to get what you need. It's possible for other players to throw a wrench into the works by taking a die or a contract that you wanted, or by completing one of the title objectives before you. If you're planning ahead, though, there are mystic items that can help you with gaining resources or changing dice values. Again, you're rarely stopped from doing what you want to do. You just might not get as much as you had hoped. It's just enough to keep the tension high and to keep me engaged in what's going on around the table. But my favorite thing about Forges of Ravenshire are the assistants and their abilities. These powers are wild. They remind me a bit of the character powers from Marco Polo, where everyone is accusing everyone else's ability of being completely overpowered, and I love that. There's the Badger Apprentice, which gives you a special die that you can use during the production phase. The Guild Advisor lets you start with 2 guild member tiles for free, and you are not restricted by their color for which column they can be placed in. The Metallurgist lets you swap any 2 goods for a Mithril or an Embergem Mystic good at any time, and when you craft an item with a Mithril or Embergem finish, you can spend another Mystic token for a different benefit depending on the type of token that you spent. These powers are very cool and very fun to play with. Now, the rulebook does say that you can play without them for a simpler game, but I highly recommend using them. I will never play without them. Honestly, I would be very happy if their first expansion was just adding more of these assistant cards. So to recap, Forges of Ravenshire is a feel-good efficiency puzzle that really rewards creative thinking. I'd often find myself, while playing this game, thinking, I know I can do what I need to do, I just need to puzzle out how. And that's something that I really love in a game. Top-notch production, top-notch gameplay. This is a very easy recommendation from me, and it's definitely getting the Beer City Reserve label. All right, everyone, that's it for my look at Forges of Ravenshire. Let me know in the comments if you've played this one and what you thought of it. And until next time, let's get another round for the table.